The Wealth Coffee Chat, Wednesday the 21st of July. Running a smidgen off the pace this morning. Hopefully everyone's well while everyone's jumping on, or a few of you guys are jumping on anyway. Might do the intros. Morning to the regulars who are always here. Rodney, morning Rodney, how are you, mate? Good to see you. Up early and at it. Good to see. For those who haven't, if you're new, if you're popping by for the first time, you're saying g'day. I might put my blue lights on in the back here. Let's see if that works. There we go. Get my little lights going. For anyone who's new, g'day. Jason Witten's my name. Been property investing over 20 years and coaching property investors over 18 across Australia and New Zealand. Done a few deals and along the way, learned a few things. So good morning to you guys. Morning, Hayden. Good morning, Greg. Good morning, Melinda. Chris is there. Sean's there. Jay's there. Good morning, Jay. Jimmy. Roscoe. Hey, Roscoe. We need to connect on the crypto stuff, bro. Want to chat to you about that idea and getting you on as a guest. I know you and I chatted, but you just reminded me. So hopefully you're well, brother. Arnie, Aaron, good to see you guys. And anyone who's new, welcome. Give us a shout out in the chat if you are new here, and let us know where you're dialing in from. Now, I'm using a different system today just to do the do. So if you do have any questions, chuck them in the chat. I can see them. I just can't put them on the screen. I've got to work that out. I'll work that out with this one as we go. But listen, wanted to chat to you guys today with our Wealth Coffee Chat about the idea. Hey, morning, Adrian, all the way from Newcastle. Hardick and Jeff on the YouTube. That's great. Good to see that's working too. I want to talk to you guys today about the idea of many of us don't really, when we first start out, we don't really understand or know or sort of really comprehend how we pay for our properties. Where does it all come from? And, how can I afford to buy an investment property? And so I wanted to sort of chat to you guys today about that one and wanted to make sure that we understood what was going on as property investors, and encourage you to start, getting your head around calculating and doing some spreadsheets and understanding some numbers as we go along. So good morning to Kevin. Good morning, Cameron, all the way from lockdown in Melbourne. Good to see you guys on. So let's dive into it. Let's have a bit of a look at this. So I use this fairly often. And a few questions to you guys in the chat. So I'm going to ask you guys, what do you think these numbers mean? Okay, chuck them in the chat to me. There's 4 numbers there. This is an average or a general. But what do you think these 4 numbers mean to someone on $100,000? What do you think those numbers represent when it comes to where our money goes? Because, gang, what I do know is that many of us, until we really start to ask the question, we don't know who's got our cash. What's our cash doing? Where is our money going? And is it going to places that is being that is useful for our future? And is that money increasing? Is that money going down? And what trajectory are you on as an investor? Where are you right now, and where do you want to be? Do you want this money to go to work for you? $100,000 as an income. That's a nice income. Fantastic. All right, where's it going? What's it doing? Who's got my cash? All right. So let's go through this. Who gets the first bite of the cherry? Jeff's right onto it. Listen, gang, you don't get a choice. Well, you do get a choice, but most of us don't feel or don't understand that we get a choice when it comes to our cash. The first, number one, unfortunately, the first person, the first mob to get paid is not you we don't get paid first. Sean's right onto it. The tax man takes their share. You don't get to see your tax money. Now, as business owners, that's why I love being a business. I get paid first. I get to choose the expenses that I need to cover, and some of them can be, excellent for your general well-being, and then you pay tax on what's left over. The problem is with PAYG, we don't get a choice. The tax man gets his hand in there and rips it out straight up. Tax man takes their chunk. Number one, they get theirs first as we go along. Who gets it second, right? And I'm including it here. You know, it could be on top, whatever it might be. It's going up. It's going up to 10%, by the way. So that is super. Super. So money, your cash, 10% of your life, technically, if you're on 100 grand, 10% of your life goes out in super. Now, for many of us, we don't even believe super is real money. It's like, oh, yeah, you know, maybe, especially young people. Gee, I tell you what, gang, pay attention. That's 10% of your life. That is 10% of the effort that you have in your life goes to your super. And what happens is we leave it with institutions that invest it fairly poorly as far as I'm concerned. And I can do a better job, all right? But the super, all right, $35,000. This goes to people's housing. House. That's not how you spell house. I'm going to do home, all right? Home, all right? You either buy it, a place to live in, or you're renting. Renting might be a bit less, but let's face it, gang. Right now, it's cheaper to buy a home than it is to rent. It's cheaper to buy a home than it is to rent. So if you can qualify, there's some tax advantages in your own home. The challenge is we are socialized to believe that paying your home off is a great idea. It's a stupid idea, especially if you have no wealth for the future. Reducing bad debt is a good idea. Gang, don't get it confused here. Reducing your bad debt, which is not tax deductible and not income producing, and turning that debt into, that leverage into income producing, tax benefiting, growth making assets into the future. Now that's the smart move, gang. That is the smart move. Debt or leverage is inexpensive, and it is, when used wisely and smartly and cleverly, can catapult you ahead. And this is what you've got left if you're lucky, if you haven't got credit cards, if you haven't got car loans, if you haven't got HEX debts, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, if you're lucky, all right? So what happens is the big three, the first big three, take the majority, 70%, gang, 70% of your money is gone before you even buy yourself a coffee, a cup of tea, pay for, I don't know, the kids' schooling or whatever it might be. And we're like, well, how the bloody hell do we afford this? How can we buy an investment property? This is ludicrous. Jason, you're talking about buying 5 investment property. That's terrifying. You know, where do I get the cash for that? Where do I get the money for that? Et cetera, et cetera. And what I do know, gang, sitting down with thousands and thousands of people, the money is in their hills. Gang, what I do know is you can, from a cash flow point of view, this money often is the wasted money. Okay, this money, we have to put it to work much better for us. That's the cash flow. That's the cash flow money that you're wasting right now. That's the cash flow money that you're wasting right now. And over here, your home or investment properties that aren't leveraged properly, this is where your deposit is. Okay? That's where your deposit is. This is where your income or cash flow is over here. Now let's arrange it properly. Let's use these things properly, because the government actually, I don't know if it was the government, it's probably someone else a long time ago, actually encourages you as an investor to take care of things yourself and gives you some benefits and some upside. So let's just have a quick look here at what that means from a cash, a dollars and cents point of view. So I've created a little spreadsheet here. You guys in mentoring, if you're in mentoring, you can download this. I've got some training in the Facebook group. You can download this spreadsheet, this software, and you can jump onto it and you can muck around with these numbers yourself. So let's have a look at this. Let's have a look at some simple numbers. We've got the numbers here of the property in at 600,000. You've got to put down a 10% deposit. I'm just putting in equity at this point in time. You could put in cash. It'd make the numbers look a bit better. It's a brand new property. You guys know I like brand new. I don't think, unless you are dead keen on renovating a property, there is zero reason to buy secondhand property when it comes to the first few purchases. For me, it's a no-brainer to buy a brand new property, much better cash flow, much better rentability, et cetera, et cetera. Bit of lender's mortgage insurance. You know, we've got some rates. You've got to get the thing rented out by a local agent. Now, I've put interest only here, gang. Remember, when we're buying investment properties, interest only for the first 3 to 5 years because we need to get ahead of the game on this one. I'll show you something in a minute. When we do this, you need to know what it looks like. I put 3.5%. You could probably get better. But there you go. I'm renting that for $550 a week at the moment because interest rates are so low. Rent and capital growth has been so high. Growth is sort of starting to outpace the rent growth for the moment, but those rents will come back. Don't worry about this stuff here. That short stay, we're not doing any of that. The annual income, 100 grand, tax paid. I'm putting CPI at 3%. We can put it less, but I'm just leaving it at 3%. I'm doing the average capital growth over a 10-year period of 4%. Okay, that is pretty conservative. You can go 5%. You could go 6 or 7. I wouldn't go any higher than that because that's wrong. But some years you might get better, gang. Okay. As you go. And the depreciation. This is brand new. There's a little website there you can link out to, and it can show you the basic calculations. It will be better than that average calculation, just so you guys know. And so what does our cash flow look like? Let's go have a look at this thing. All right. You can see up here, if we highlight this, should be able to highlight just that screen. Yeah, there we go. Oh, you bugger. All right, there we go. Well, year one, we have now, it's cost us a little bit more than the purchase price. Why? Why does it cost us a bit more than the purchase price? Because you have to pay stamp duty, right? You guys know that there's some investment expenses on the way into a deal. We all know that. As we go, your gross yield is about 5%, and your net yield is just under 4%, okay? Now, we've got some interest to pay. There's no principal repayments at this point. And the annual property expenses. Now, what are those expenses? Those expenses are the rates, the insurance, the agent's fees, et cetera, et cetera. And your cash flow, gang, this thing is pretty well about neutral cash flow, all right? And you're like, well, that's fabulous, Jason, but I'm not really getting ahead, am I? Well, where do I get ahead in the property? Over time, your market value, gang, hopefully increases. That's 4% a year. You can put it at 3% if you want. To be conservative. And like, listen, someone who tells you property grows at 10% a year is full of shit. Okay. That's a lie. It does grow in spurts. It might grow for 20% a year for 2 years in a row and then nothing for 4 years and go backward for 5% and then pop up another 15%. All right. It's not linear, gang. But that's what it looks like. So let's go have a look at this. This is the money shot right here. Right. We've got depreciation, which is $25,000. Now, that's an expense. It's gone out of our, so depreciation, gang, it's a loss on paper, but it's not a real cash loss, okay? So this is where we get some benefit when you buy brand new. Older properties don't get as much benefit, but let's keep rolling with that. You have a bit of a look at this. You've got total deductions, depreciation, your interest and all your expenses. On paper, even though in cash flow, check this out, like this, concentrate here. Even though on cash flow, line 16, H16, you've slightly made a positive cash flow investment, on paper, not out of your pocket, on paper, you've actually made a loss. $26,000, matter of fact. The government says, well, you've made a loss. In the pursuit of investing, you can get a tax deduction, and they will give you back $7,000. Gang, abra bloody cadabra. What's going on here? Let's go back to our little thing. Where do we just get some cash flow from? This $25,000 right here. Now, instead of paying $25,000, that tax now turns into $18,000 of tax. Everyone following along? Next property we buy, $11,000 of tax. Next property we buy, it's not as linear as this. You know, you might be down at $5,000 of tax. Take a look at that, right? Gang, that's how it works. Because you're going to give that money, you're going to give this money to the ATO anyway. You're going to give it to the government. That's what's going to happen. But what I keep saying to everyone is like, listen, don't mess with what's left over. That's rubbish. That's shit house. That puts you under stress and pressure. The tax money should be the money that's covering the costs. The rent plus the tax money covers the property, and you don't have to be concerned about that. By the end of that year, about $7,000 in your buffer account. Gang, $7,000 in your buffer account. If you have an interest-only property, and that property is interest-only for 5 years, okay, that would mean if you were really diligent, you would have $37,000 over 5 years in your buffer account for this property alone, okay? And that's how you grow your money for that property, to renovate it in the future, to have a safety buffer, to do whatever you need to do on that property, gang, because that's important for you, not to come out of your pocket, okay, as we go along. So hopefully that makes sense. That's $144 a week positive cash flow. When was the last time that you got an extra $144 a week after borrowing $600,000 and buying an investment property? Abracadabra. Anyway, there you go. So you guys are in the mentoring. Go download that off the Facebook group, our private Facebook group. If you're listening in and you're not in mentoring, you're not getting coaching, if you want some coaching, reach out. This stuff is vitally important, gang. You need to be able to understand what it looks like and why. You need to understand numbers, because it gives us comfort factor. We call it sleep at night factor. You know where the money's coming from. It's not coming out of your pocket. It's not. And if it is, then that's bad structuring from you and your team, or you've intentionally taken it out of your pocket for another reason. But there you go. That's the drill when it comes to those things, when it comes to where's my money and how do I pay for this real estate. That's how you do it, gang. If you want to know more, give us a shout out. I know many of you guys have got a coach or two, and that is awesome as you go. Jared asked the question, if you've got a few rental properties that are returning good yield with high equity, should it really matter your PPR costs? No, it shouldn't matter, Jared. Absolutely, if your investment properties are covering their own costs, it is absolutely a no-brainer. Now, your principal place of residence, and I've done a few videos on this, gang. Remember, your principal place of residence is one of those wealth strategies if you do it right, because what's the benefit of your own home? It is capital gains tax free. And what I do know is at some point, it's likely in the future, far into the future, you might be in a nice house and you might sell that house. Now, you might be 70, you might be 80. You might sell that house. You know, by that stage, you've paid it off. It's debt-free. It's bad debt-free. And you're sweet. You sell that house for $1 million, $2 million, $5 million. It's tax-free, gang, tax-free. understand that one. But there you go. No, Jared, mate, you're on it. If it's covering its cost, you're sweet. And the PPR, if it can fund your PPR, then that's even better, isn't it? Hey, that's the point of this stuff, gang. Money, working, and getting you more money. That's the outcome. Anyway, there you go. Coffee chat done. I don't know how long I was going for today. 20 minutes. All right, bit of a long one, but hopefully it made sense when we broke those numbers down. All right, gang. Coffee and a chat done and dusted. You guys take care. Have a great rest of your day, and see you tomorrow. Tomorrow for another one. Wealth Coffee Chat. Join us around about 8 o'clock. If you've got any questions, you've got anything that you think might be worth me commenting on or going through, please chuck them in the chats so I can see what you're up to, what you're thinking. Always happy to help. Keep us on track and motivated for building our property portfolio. All right, gang. Take care and see you guys